From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Monday, June 20th. Sunny skies will stick around through most of the day today as we warm up. Lower humidity, so that's the good news, but we will get up to around 90 degrees today. 3 people are wounded, at least 2 of them critically, in a shooting at an Indianapolis gas station. It happened just after 11 last night at the Citgo on Washington Street, just east of Sherman. IMPD says officers found 2 of the victims at the gas station and the third about an hour later somewhere else. IMPD says people often gather at the gas station at night, and officers are now frustrated with the lack of cooperation from people who were there.
There were several witnesses on this scene. It's really sad to say that as the detectives are investigating, they can see several witnesses on the scene not helping, not giving any information to the police. At this time, we ask the city, we ask the community, we need your help to solve these crimes. If you saw or know someone was here who has any information to help us solve this, please let us know.
Police haven't released the condition of the third victim. Police do ask if you know anything to call Crime Stoppers. The number is 317-262-TIPS. And IMPD thinks an inmate killed another inmate at the Marion County Adult Detention Center. Homicide detectives responded to the center at 10:15 last night. Investigators say one man assaulted the other, but haven't released any other details. IMPD says it expects to release more information sometime this morning. A shooting at a street festival in Washington, D.C. left a 15-year-old dead and a police officer and 2 other adults wounded. It happened last night about 2 miles north of the National Mall. Police fights marred the event early in the evening, and officers had started to shut down the event for safety when the shooting started. City leaders say the organizers had gotten no permits for the event.
We have a child who was killed today at an event that did not have any proper planning for the number of people who were here, and with guns involved, and with our police managing a crowd on site, somebody used a gun.
No word of any arrests yet. The police chief indicates the organizers could face charges for not following permit rules. Illinois Congressman Adam Kinzinger is revealing a threatening letter he says was sent to his home a few days ago. In it, the writer threatens to execute Kinzinger, his wife, and their 5-month-old son. The congressman is one of 2 Republicans on the January 6th House Select Committee. He's also one of the most prominent critics of former President Trump. Kinzinger announced in October that he will not seek re-election. Our All Indiana Politics team is weighing in on the gravity of the January 6th committee hearings. Tom LoBianco wrote a book about former Vice President Mike Pence during his run for the vice presidency. He says one thing in particular has stuck out to him so far.
There have been a number of stunning scoops, not least of which this kind of back and forth from John Eastman, where he wavers on how he's going to try to keep Trump in power, how they're going to try to overturn the 2020 election results. But a big one that we found out about on last Thursday was that immediately after this all happens, after the attack and after the threat on Vice President Mike Pence's life, John Eastman asked for a pardon.
The next hearing is set for tomorrow afternoon at 1. The committee says it still may subpoena Pence. It's also wanting to hear from Ginny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, about her role in the plot to overturn the election. And we're watching closely to see if airlines rebound from cancellations and delays that snarled weekend travel. FlightAware shows 250 flights canceled across the country so far this morning, including 3 in or out of Indianapolis. Airlines canceled more than 3,200 flights between Friday and Sunday. They blamed rough weather, staff shortages, and infrastructure challenges. TSA says it screened more than 2.4 million people Friday, marking the busiest day at checkpoints since the Sunday after Thanksgiving. The problems come as airlines are under new pressure to prevent cancellations and delays. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg met with airline CEOs last week to look for ways to smoothly handle a surge in 4th of July travel. Buttigieg says airlines could face penalties if they don't meet standards. And there is newly released video that indicates where 2 Americans who were captured by Russia are being held. Alexander Druki and Andy Wynn volunteered to fight for Ukraine. A Russian state media video posted to YouTube shows the men were interviewed at a detention center in Donetsk. The video, that Druki said he was being beaten while being detained. The so-called Donetsk People's Republic has not responded to the detainments. The U.S. State Department says it's closely monitoring the situation. A Russian journalist auctioned off his Nobel Peace Prize medal to raise money for Ukraine. Dmitry Muratov was awarded the gold medal in October. He helped found an independent Russian newspaper and served as its editor-in-chief until it was shut down by the Kremlin. Muratov says he came up with the idea to auction off the prize after he'd already announced he would donate the $500,000 that accompanied the award to charity. According to the Associated Press, the gold in the medal is worth about $10,000 melted down, but previous Nobel Prize medals have been auctioned off for millions. Muratov says all of the money will go toward UNICEF to help children displaced by the war.
To honor the true meaning of Juneteenth, we must never rest until we deliver the promise of America to all Americans. All Americans.
President Biden marks Juneteenth by urging Americans to embrace instead of ignore our nation's most painful moments. Today is the first time the U.S. federally recognizes Juneteenth with nationwide closures. The holiday is being observed today since it fell on a Sunday this year. President Biden signed the bill making Juneteenth a national holiday last year, but many organizations and businesses couldn't prepare since that signing happened just 2 days before the holiday. Juneteenth commemorates when Union Army General Gordon Granger arrived in Texas and announced the slaves had been freed. That was more than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. Activist Opal Lee and Representative Sheila Jackson Lee from Texas worked to make the date a federal holiday.
Juneteenth means freedom.
This is a day of power.
I can think of no better way to observe Juneteenth than being with community.
Most federal offices and schools are shut down today, so are the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, and Federal Reserve. Well, some local fans are frustrated, and the Chicks are promising a new show after cutting their concert short in Noblesville. Ruoff Music Center posted an apology from the country trio on social media last night, reading, "We are so sorry we could not give you the show that you deserve or the show we wanted to give you. We will be back in Indianapolis. Hold on to your tickets." A Wish TV employee was at last night's concert and says that the lead singer, Natalie Maines, told fans that her cottonwood allergies kept her from finishing the show. The group performed at Bonnaroo the night before. The Chicks say fans should get information about tickets from the company they bought them from. Drivers are getting a little bit of relief at the gas pump. The average price per gallon slipped under $5 a gallon over the weekend. According to Gas Buddy, it's now at $4.97. Indiana's average is a little higher than the country, sitting at $5.13. That is an 11 cents drop, though, from the record set almost 2 weeks ago. A data tracker for AAA says that this is likely temporary. Demand for gas is expected to rise between now and Labor Day. Lawmakers have called for a break from the federal gas tax, and Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen seemed open to the idea yesterday.
You know, President Biden wants to do anything he possibly can to help consumers. Gas prices have risen a great deal, and it's clearly burdening households. So he stands ready to work with Congress, and that's an idea that's certainly worth considering.
President Biden is pushing for Saudi Arabia to pump more oil to bring prices down. He's actually scheduled to visit the country next month. A new policy effectively bans transgender women from competing in women's world swimming events. The ban by the International Swimming Federation, also known as FINA, goes into effect today. It allows only swimmers who transitioned before age 12 to compete in women's events. FINA says this is not meant to encourage more people to transition earlier, but that it's following expert guidance saying athletes have an advantage if transitions start after puberty. FINA says it's considering creating an open competition category. And this morning, a first-time major champion is on top of the golf world. Matt Fitzpatrick calls his final full swing of the U.S. Open out of a gnarly fairway bunker, one of his best shots ever. It helped the Englishman hold off Will Zalatoris, Scotty Scheffler, and the rest of the field Sunday in Brookline, Massachusetts, same place where Fitzpatrick won the U.S. Amateur 9 years ago.
This week, around the country club, I've won round here before. I love playing this golf course. It suits me so well, suits my game well. And I've been playing well for a while, and I think it all just fell into place that this was the place it was going to happen.
Fitzpatrick put a bear hug on his caddy, Billy Foster, who's worked for several of the game's greatest players in a 40-year career, but had never been on the bag for a major victory. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand for even more on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.